started, um, say a quick prayer real quick. Man, family, man, this is gonna be, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be rough. You know what I mean? And it's gonna be what it's gonna be. You know what I mean? You guys already know. It is what it is. Man, what is your legacy gonna be? What is your legacy gonna be? What's up with you, Gary? Man, you know, you can't control how you start off. You can't control what you've gone through in the past. You can't control who you're related to. You can't control none of that stuff. But none of that stuff have anything to do with what your legacy in life is going to be. Absolutely nothing. I couldn't control who my daddy was. You can't control who your daddy is. Titan Games, what's up with you? And I'm making this video because, excuse me, I hear so many people, have so many people reaching out to me, whether it's through the comments or whether it's through the coaching sessions that we do. And they're just so frustrated with, man, how come their family don't support them? How come their family don't see them? How come their family don't recognize them? You know, how come they don't have a connection with their family? And it's as though they have a connection with all these strangers, you know what I mean? Far more than they have a connection with their own bloodline. You know what I mean? And there's so many people so frustrated right now because they've gone through so much hell. And they don't even understand why they've had to go through so much hell. Why is it that people that don't even know you can see you and recognize you and love you and embrace you faster than your own family do? And people are so, it's like, man, I'm done. You know what I mean? There's so many people that I talk to that's just done. Dimitri, what's up with you? Just ready to give up on life. Clash, what's up? I'm not gonna be able to call out everybody's name. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Yeah, I mean no disrespect by that. But there's so many people right now, they're just so fucking frustrated and fed up with their family. So frustrated and just so ready to just turn their back on their whole family and just walk away. And there's so many of us that it don't even seem like we belong to that family. It's like, man, I'm not like any of you motherfuckers. I'm glad I'm not like y'all. But we grow up wanting to be like them. We grow up thinking, man, I got to do everything to make them happy. We grow up thinking, man, they're going to be proud of me. I'm going to be the first one in the family to do what do. I'm going to be the first one in the family, da. And they should be proud that I did that. They should be proud that I didn't have kids when I was in my teens. They should be proud of me that I finished high school. They should be proud of me that I walked across the thing. They should be proud of me that I'm not locked up. And we have all these things that we think that our family's supposed to be proud about, and they don't give two fucks about. They don't care that you didn't have a kid when you were 13, 14 years old. They don't care that you didn't have a kid out of wedlock. You know what I mean? They don't care that you graduated high school. They don't care you ain't strung out on dope. They don't care you ain't locked up in prison somewhere. None of that stuff mean anything to them. They still don't like you. They still really don't want anything to do with you. And nothing you do is going to convince them otherwise. Nothing you do is going to change their mind. Nothing you do is going to make them happy. What's up with you, Paul? There's nothing that you're going to do to win these people over. And it is what it is. That's a hard pill to swallow. Especially when you look at the fact that we spend so much time with them. Growing up, we have so much love for them. And we're so proud of all of their accomplishments. We're their biggest cheerleaders. And how do you fathom the fact that I could be your cheerleader and at the same time you not give a fuck about me? I'm rooting for you and praying for you and sending you all these positive energy, all this positive love. And at the same time, I don't mean anything to you. Come on. What's going to be your legacy? How is it that we could go to church? How is it that we could get into politics? We could go to school, college, and we could do all these things to impress our family. And they still don't care. It still don't even matter to them. Whatever it is you got going on, they don't care. They don't like you. They don't want nothing to do with you. And we have to accept that. And that's a hard thing for a lot of us to deal with. How can you love somebody or a group of people so much and they not even reciprocate it? How can you love somebody so much and they act like you're not even important? You do so much to show them how much they mean the world to you. They don't answer your phone call. They don't text you back. They don't get you shit for Christmas. They don't even acknowledge that you're family. And you're doing the most for them. How is it that these people who mean the world to you, these people who you would die for, can't stand you? I used to be in a relationship a long time ago with somebody that meant the world to me. And I was so lonely in that relationship. We were married, had kids. And I never felt so lonely before in my life. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere. This is talking about your legacy. What is your legacy gonna be? I was in this relationship madly in love with this woman. And it was as though I was in a relationship by myself. And what I mean by that, she was not affectionate in any way, shape, or form. We were married, had kids. The relationship didn't start out like that, but it ended like that. What is your legacy gonna be? See, now she can't stand my ass. She's been wanting me back for years. We split up in 2004. I have her blocked in every way possible. Don't want nothing to do with her. Mother of 4 of my kids. My kids are grown, so I don't have to talk to her. We ain't got to have a conversation about the kids. I'm talking about legacy. What is your legacy gonna be? See, because the truth be told, some of us, no matter what you do, they're always gonna lie on you. No matter what you do, it's never gonna be good enough. No matter what you say, no matter how good you are in school, it don't mean anything to them. I grew up, my aunt, my father's sister, she was a Christian. If my memory serves me correctly, I can only recall maybe 3 or 4 times in the whole time I lived with that lady. I moved in with her when I was 2 years old. So from the time I was 2 to the time I was 18, she may have told me that she loved me 3 or 4 times. 3 or 4 times she told me she loved me. I can only remember her telling me that she was proud of me one time. One time. How is it that you're supposed to grow up healthy in a toxic environment like that? Where you're not hugged, you're not kissed, you're not told that you're valued, that you matter. In fact, you're told the complete opposite. You're told that you're not going to amount to anything positive. You're told that you don't even matter and you're a waste. They told us all the time, well, I can't wait for you guys to leave. We were always told that we were stupid and dumb. How do you grow up and become a loving person after being programmed for years like that? How do you become passionate about life? How do you become a beacon of hope, a beacon of love after going through all of that darkness, all of that loneliness, all of that betrayal? What is your legacy going to be? Because if the truth be told, your legacy ain't got shit to do with how many kids you have. Your legacy ain't got shit to do with who's your family. I have 7 kids, 4 girls, 3 boys, 5 grandkids. That's not really my legacy. That's not your legacy either. Your legacy is not just in your kids. If you're a beacon of hope, a beacon of love, if you're a star seed, if you're a chosen one, if you're a light worker, if you're a healer, you've put in some work. You've helped a lot of people. Some of you are just in the process of becoming aware of who you are. Some of you are just in the process of becoming that beacon of hope. Some of you are just now coming into the power and authority that you have. Some of you are just now coming into the place where, man, you could be a mentor to younger people, or you could be a mentor to other people. And so you're sowing into the lives of other people. That's part of your legacy. Because the reality, every one of us is going to die at some point in time. Every one of us is going to leave behind a legacy. Everybody alive leaves behind a legacy. The question is, what is your legacy going to be? I looked at my father, and I didn't want to be like my father. And I'm grateful for my father because my father's helped mold me to be the man that I am without even trying. Just by him being him, I didn't want nothing to do with the lifestyle he had. I didn't want nothing to do with the perspective of life that he had. And so I had to make a conscious decision. I don't want to be like my deadbeat motherfucking daddy. I don't want to be like my sorry ass daddy. And because I don't want to be like him, I got to make different decisions in life. I have to make different choices in life. And that's hard when you don't have a role model. That's hard when you don't have anybody in life guiding you and directing you. That's hard to grow up to be a beacon of hope, a beacon of love, when all you're around is chaotic, dramatic people. Toxic ass people, greedy, jealous, hating people. And you got to come up and be totally different. You got to come up wanting the best for everybody, rooting for everybody, cheering for everybody, encouraging everybody while nobody's encouraging you, while nobody's cheering for you, while nobody's patting you on the back, while nobody's telling you, I'm proud of you, I love you, I see you. It's hard to be a beacon of hope when you've never seen a beacon of hope. It's hard to be a positive role model when you've never had one. It's hard to be a beacon of love when everybody around you is not emanating love in any way, shape, or form. They talk about love, but love is not in their actions. They preached love, but love was not in their actions. And so how do you grow up and become what you've never seen? How do you grow up and become what you've never experienced? And then you have those around you dogging you up because you're making mistakes. You have those around you looking down on you and judging you because you're failing your way to success. This is messed up and you mess up over here and God closed the door over here and God closed the door over here. And all this stuff seems like, man, I can't get shit right. I know what I don't want. I don't want to be like this toxic, fucked up family. I don't want to grow up living in a fucking hood. I don't want to grow up living in some fucking raggedy ass, roach infested, rat infested fucking apartment. I don't want to grow up living from paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to grow up on the fucking system. I don't want to grow up in the fucking penitentiary. I don't want to grow up fucking strung out on dope. There's so many things that you see that you don't want. How do we change it? And still be loved by these people. See, because as we're growing up and we don't want to be like them, now everybody's on your helmet. Oh, you think you all that? You think you too good to be around us? You think you too good? And you dress different and it's like, oh my fucking God, can I just fucking breathe? Can I just be me? Life didn't come with a fucking book. And I know there's going to be a whole lot of people telling me, well, the Bible is basic instructions before leaving earth. But the Bible was not basic instructions for me. The Bible didn't have shit to do with me. And what I mean by that, there was nothing in the Bible that I related to. There was nothing in the Bible that correlated to my lifestyle. I didn't see me in the Bible. Again, and I'm not knocking Christianity. If you're a Christian, do what you do. But for me, I grew up in the church. But for me, having seen my father murder my mama at the age of 2, having been molested in the church and at home, the two places you're supposed to feel safe. The two places you're supposed to be protected. I was sexually violated as a 6-year-old kid. So no, I didn't see love. Love was not my experience. Hell was. Hate was. Anger was my best friend. Loneliness was my lover. Because when I didn't have anything else, when I didn't have anyone else, loneliness was always there. Hatred was always there. I didn't want that to be my legacy, but that's all that I fucking knew. I wanted love, but I got hate. I wanted love, but I got rejection. I wanted love, but I got beat down. But I didn't want that to be my legacy. And even though they said that I would end up dead before I was 18 or in prison for the rest of my life, I didn't want that to be my legacy either. What is it that you're going through that people have told you that you will always be? Did they tell you would always be fat? Did they tell you you'll always be ugly? Did they tell you you'll always be stupid? Did they tell you you'll always be alone? Nobody was going to ever like you. Nobody was ever going to marry you. Nobody was ever going to want to be with you. And so you start having sex and doing all this other stuff just to get people to like you, just to be accepted. That's what I did. Because I thought that would make me feel loved. I was in the 7th grade, excuse me, 6th grade, when I first had sex, voluntarily. 6th grade. I was with a 7th grader. It didn't make me feel loved. Not like I imagined it would have. What are you doing to be accepted? I started smoking weed in the 7th grade. Just to be accepted. But I didn't want any of that to be my legacy. But what I didn't understand was that I had to go through all that crazy stuff. I had to experience all the things that I didn't want in life, so that I would understand, man, this ain't it. This ain't got nothing to do with love. This ain't got nothing to do with joy and peace and happiness. You can have all the money in the world and still not have joy, peace, and happiness. You can have all the money in the world and still not have love. I just wanted love. I just wanted love. I wanted love to be my legacy. And what God had to show me was, Elijah, be careful. Because that sounds great. That sounds good. But when you really dive deep, Elijah, is that coming from a place of hurt? Is that coming from a place of brokenness? Is that coming from a place of loneliness? Is that coming from a place of codependency? Is that coming from a place of your mama issues? Is that coming from a place of your unhealed trauma, from you not feeling loved from your daddy? And the fact that your mama died when you were 2. So you didn't grow up in that loving, nurturing atmosphere. And the one person that did show you love was now gone, that being your mom. So your desire and your hunger and thirst for love, is it coming from being broken? Is it coming from your daddy rejecting you? Is it coming from the fact that your family didn't even accept you? Elijah, why do you want to be a beacon of love? Why do you want love? Why is love so important to you? What is your legacy going to be? What is your legacy going to be? See, I started out wanting love because I've been damaged. I wanted love as my legacy because I was broken. I was confused. I had been traumatized. I had been rejected and abandoned. And I just wanted the pain to go away. And I thought that love would make that pain go away. So I wanted love. And what God had to show me through failed relationships was, Elijah, you've gotten love, but the pain hasn't went away. The pain hasn't went anywhere. Because you hadn't dealt with your trauma. You hadn't dealt with your issues. And so you wanted love for all the wrong reasons. So many of us, we want to be successful. Why do you want to be successful? Is your success rooted in your brokenness? Is your success rooted in the fact that you didn't have shit and you grew up in a fucking traumatic and chaotic environment and you never dealt with that shit? And so your success is, man, look at me. I'm popping my collar. Look at me. I'm flexing. I'm flossing. I'm da-da-da. I'm da-da. Because that success gives me an identity now. Now I got 6 figures coming in. Man, I'm somebody. My family should like me. My family should love me. I got doctorate degrees and I'm da-da-da-da. And I'm a lawyer and I'm an engineer and I'm an astronomer and I'm a mathematician. I'm a professor at this college and I'm a nurse over here. And we got all this stupid shit that we strive to and that we reach out and that becomes our goals in life. Why? Because a lot of it is rooted in the fact that we didn't have shit coming up. It's rooted in the fact that we were broken as kids. We weren't accepted. What is your legacy gonna be? Here's the trip. You could get all those things and still not feel fulfilled. You could get all those things and still have this emptiness inside of you. Have this hole inside of you. And here's the crazy part. When I was in church, the Christians always said that emptiness, that hole, was the fact that you didn't have Jesus. That emptiness and that hole was the fact that you didn't have the Holy Spirit. I'm going to tell you something. I had the Holy Spirit. I was teaching and I was giving some sermons. I was laying hands on people and laying them out in the Spirit. And I still had that emptiness. I was speaking in tongues, prophesying, and I was still empty and lonely on the inside. Had Jesus, had the Holy Ghost, could quote the Bible from Genesis to Revelations. But that didn't take care of the emptiness inside of me. That didn't fill that hole inside of me. That didn't fill that loneliness inside of me. I thought that was the answer. And so all I want, man, I just got to know Jesus. I just got to know Jesus more. I was hungry and thirsty after Jesus, after Yahshua. But that didn't fill my cup. It didn't fill my cup. It didn't heal the trauma. It's real stuff. It didn't heal the trauma. And there's so many people in church still traumatized from their childhood, still traumatized from their relationships. So many people in church still going through the exact same stuff. Divorce happens in church people just as often as it do with people that don't believe in God. Church happens with the Christians, with people that believe in God, people that speak in tongues, just as much as it do with the quote unquote sinner or the atheist, the non-believer, the pagan, whatever you want to call them. Divorce happens just as much in the church as it do outside of the church. And they got Jesus. They got the Holy Ghost. They got the Bible. They got all the doctrines and the teachings. But they ain't got the fucking answer. That's why they're still getting divorced. That's why they're still traumatized. That's why a lot of them are still addicted to pornography. Or got other things that they're addicted to. They got Jesus, but not healing. They got the Holy Ghost, but not healing. They got salvation, but not healing. Your purpose does not override your trauma. It don't. Through our trauma, we grow and we understand our purpose. Through the trauma, through the pain, through the suffering, through the abandonment, through the brokenness, I understand who I am. I understand why I'm here. I understand the lessons of all of these things. And so now God can reveal my purpose to me. And my purpose is to be this beacon of hope, beacon of love in these areas. Because there's going to be a whole lot more people that's going through this stuff. There are a lot more people that's dealing with this. Nobody's talking about it. Because we're ashamed to talk about the fact that, man, I still got daddy issues. I still got mama issues. And I still am traumatic from my first boyfriend, my first wife, my first baby daddy, my first baby mama. And, man, I'm secretly lusting after this over here. And we got all these fucking issues. And ain't none of us really talking about it. That's trauma. But ain't nobody talking about it. Ain't nobody addressing it. Nobody in church, nobody outside of church stands up on the platform and, man, I'm dealing with whoop, and I got anger issues and I'm mad as fuck at God and whoop. Nobody really has these conversations. You're right, G. We make that weakness to talk about our emotions. We make that a weakness to talk about our feelings. And that's why we can't walk into our greatest version of ourselves. That's why we can't heal. And that's why we can't become a beacon of hope, a beacon of love. Because we're so consumed with the programming and the indoctrination that we've gotten. What is going to be your legacy? See, again, I'm 54 years old. I grew up in a time where men didn't cry. I grew up in a time where men had to be hard, had to be stoic, didn't show emotions. But I didn't want to be like my daddy. Still talking about your legacy. We didn't have time, guys, men back then didn't have time for little sissy lala stuff. But I didn't want to be like them. So I got down. I was talking to somebody about this at work the other day, a young lady at work. Man, I would get down and I would play with my daughter. We would do tea house. But I had a stipulation. Okay, I'll play games with you like this. I'll do what you want to do. But afterwards, you're gonna play what I want to play. You're going to do what I want to do. Because I struggled with that. And what I mean, I struggled with that. I struggled with my manhood. Because my perception, men ain't supposed to play these little games, tea house and jacks and hopscotch and skip and all this other, you know what I mean? Jumping rope. Men ain't really supposed to do this stuff. Not no real thug, not nobody from the street. So with my daughter, it's like, okay, I'll play dolls with you. All my girls, I call them baby girl. They're all grown. They're still baby girl. It's like, all right, baby girl, I'll play dolls with you. All right, baby girl, we could play jacks. But after we play jacks, after we play tea house, after we play Barbie dolls, we're going to play what daddy want to play. And what daddy want to play is wrestling. Because I was big in WWE wrestling. Man, Hulk Hogan and Jesse Ventura, Junkyard Dog, and all these other old folks, you know what I mean? Way back then. Those were my people. That's what I want to grow up and be like. They were strong men. And that's how I thought men were supposed to be. You couldn't be some sissy lala as a dude back then. And so I picked my daughter up after I played jacks with her, after I played tea house with her and all this other stuff. Man, I'm picking her up, bam, slamming her on the bed. We're having pillow fights. I'm blasting her off the bed with the pillow, knocking her onto the floor. I mean, I'm not doing it hard, but you gotta be tough. That was my mentality. No sissy lala stuff. I didn't know how to show emotions because I was never shown emotions. I grabbed my kids and I give them a hug, told them I loved them all the time. But as far as getting, not sissy lala, but what's the word I'm looking for? Getting like real deep with it, I didn't do that. I didn't know how to do that until my kids got a little older, maybe 9, 10 years of age. And it's like I didn't want them growing up like I grew up. Again, I didn't have a mom, didn't have a father. My kids didn't have their mom in their life. I raised them as a single father for a number of years. So I had to be dad and mom. And I didn't know how to be either because I never had either. Come on, what is your legacy gonna be? There were times, if the truth be told, where I wanted to give my kids up to the system. I was in LA. And I wanted to put my kids up because I thought they deserved better. I thought they would be happier. I thought their life would be better without me. I'm glad I never did. But it went through my mind several times. Tell me, what is going to be your legacy? So we have this mind, this twisted concept of what we think perfection is. Of what we think, man, I'm not successful unless I have woo-doo-doo-woo. And if I don't have that, then I'm not successful. Who told you that was the status for success? Who told you that you had to have a $300,000 income and you had to have this type of car and you had to live on this side of town? And who told us that crap? They set us up for failure. What is your legacy gonna be? See, growing up in the church made us feel like, man, I can't be perfect. Man, we can't do nothing wrong. Every time we do something wrong, we getting in trouble. Every time we do something wrong, we getting the crap beat out of us. Every time we do something wrong, we got to go up in front of the freaking congregation and have them slap some freaking oil on our foreheads and pray the devil out of us. We just little fucking kids. And so what it told us was that, man, you can't live this life. You're not good enough. You're not shit. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. Because you're not perfect. Because you're not perfect. And because God sees your sins. And because God sees all of your sins, and because God sees your twisted thoughts, He's going to punish you and send you to hell for that. And there's no more fucked up thought process or programming than that shit right there. And I know that's going to piss a whole lot of people off. I don't give a damn. There's nothing worse than parents programming their kids in that bullshit of, oh, God sees your sins and God sees all the stuff that you think that's wrong, and you're gonna die and go to fucking hell. You're not good enough. We gotta grow up. And we can't get mad at them because that's all they know. That's all they know. And so I went through that anger stage of hating them the people who raised us, because they programmed us with this bullshit. And what God had to show me, Elijah, they programmed you with that bullshit because they had been programmed with that bullshit, and that's all they knew. And it's going to take somebody like you to stand up and break these motherfucking curses. To stand up and say, I'm done with this fucking programming. I'm done with this fucking religious bullshit. I'm done with this fucking Christian bullshit. I'm done with this fucking political bullshit. I'm done with da-da-da-da-da. I'm done with da-da-da-da. I'm done with trying to compete with the fucking Joneses. I'm done with da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da. I don't give a fuck what you think about me. I don't give a fuck what your ass think about me. I'm going to do me, whether I stand alone or whether you stand with me in the motherfucking group. I don't give a fuck no more. And we have to get to that motherfucking point of where we don't give a damn what anybody else think about us. You will never be successful. You will never accomplish what you came here to accomplish, worrying about what everybody else think about you. You will never heal worrying about what everybody else think about you. You will never be the best version of you, being concerned with what everybody think about you. So many of us, man, we're scared to make any decision because it might piss the family off. Or they're not going to understand why we're doing whoop, whoop, whoop. Why are you moving out of that city? Why are you moving to another state? When all your family is right here, all your family's right, my family's right here, and ain't none of you motherfuckers doing a damn thing. Why the fuck am I gonna stay here and go nowhere with y'all asses? We gotta grow up. What is your legacy? Is your legacy gonna be like, damn, it took me a minute, but I got this shit straight because the programming ran fucking deep. Man, the brainwashing that I went through was fucking unbelievable. And I didn't have anybody to help me get out of the bullshit. I didn't have anybody to teach me and help me strip that shit off and to throw that shit away. And so I had to get everything out the fucking mud all by my motherfucking self. And what God is saying, you got to get it out the mud by yourself, because he wants you to understand how strong you are. He wants you to understand how resilient you are. See, everybody always talked about how you was weak. You were soft and da-da-da-da, but you couldn't go through all the shit you went through, survived all the shit you went through, and still got your shit straight. You couldn't go through the programming and the abuse that you went through. And got to the point of, I'm sick and tired. I've been sick and tired. No. This ain't gonna be my life no more. This is not gonna be my motherfucking life. I'm not gonna continue to be a fucking victim. I'm not gonna continue and think that the world is gonna crash and the worst is gonna happen and woo-doo-doo. I'm not gonna live on that frequency of negativity and toxicity anymore. I don't give a fuck what's going on. I refuse to be on that low vibrating stuff. I refuse to keep tearing myself down. I refuse to keep saying that I can't be happy. I refuse to believe that, man, I'm going to be depressed the rest of my life. I refuse to believe I'm going to be lonely the rest of my life. I refuse to be fucking greedy and jealous and toxic as fuck for the rest of my life. I refuse to be unforgiving for the rest of my life. I refuse to be ungrateful the rest of my life. And so I gotta change my fucking perspective. And how do I change my perspective if everybody around me, everybody associated with me, have the same toxic ass fucking perspective? if everybody around you think like you, everybody around you believe like you, but that's not what you want, what are you going to do about it? How do you change that? How do you change your perspective? How do you get a better perspective? You got to disassociate yourself with them that are on that low frequency. Birds of a feather flock together. What God had to show me. Elijah, do you want what they have? I said, well, God, what do you mean? What do I want what they have? Elijah, you look at all those people there. Do you want what they have? What's up with your sparkle speck? Some of them got a nice house, huge house, expensive house, nice vehicles. But you know that they don't have any love. You know that they're not happy. You know that they don't have any peace. Do you want what they have? Look at how they think. Look at the crap that they believe. You're going to end up just like them, if not worse. And the odds are you're going to end up worse. And the reason why you're going to end up worse is because you're going to have seen them and you know that's not what you wanted. And you continued on that same toxic, fucked up path that you saw those people that went before you. And you know that they weren't happy. You know that they were miserable. You know that they were unfulfilled. You know they didn't have any peace, any joy, any happiness. And you continue to believe and regurgitate the same shit they did. And when you get to their point in life, you're going to be so miserable, so pissed off, so angry, because you're going to sit back and say, damn, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I knew better. I know I didn't want to follow in their footsteps. I know I didn't want what they had. And I continue to do the same crap that they're doing. You can pray all you want to. Prayer will never give you peace of mind. You can pray all you want to. Prayer will never give you joy. You can pray all you want to. Prayer will never give you happiness. What is your legacy going to be? What is your legacy going to be? There's been a whole lot of people that became very successful financially that overdosed on drugs. There's been a lot of people that became very wealthy, very successful financially that committed suicide. I think of Robin Williams a lot. Robin Williams is an actor that I grew up watching. I believe he first came out with Mork and Mindy. Man, great actor. Great comedian. Robin Williams made people all over the world laugh. Robin Williams made people all over the world, man, just thank you for that laugh. And in the end, he committed suicide. I'm not knocking what he did. But I think about his life. And I wonder how, and I've heard so many people talk about this, how sometimes the comedians, those that make people happy, are some of the most broken, hurt people in the world. And I resonated with that. Some of the greatest entertainers in the world, whether it's Michael Jackson, and we'd use him as an example right now. Man, his music entertained people all over the world. And he had a fucked up childhood. And it goes back to what I was just saying, how people that have been broken the most want other people to smile, want other people to be happy. People that have been broken the most really don't want other people to have to go through that. And I resonated with that because of all the pain and the suffering that I experienced as a kid. All the trauma I went through as a fucking kid. I didn't want anybody else to have to go through the shit that I went through. And what God had to show me, Elijah, you can't stop that. You don't know why they're here. You don't know what they have to experience. All you can do, Elijah, is heal from your own brokenness and show others, man, by becoming a beacon of hope, a beacon of love, man, there's a way out of the darkness. There's a way out of the suicidal thoughts. There's a way out of the depression. There's a way out of self-hate. There's a way out of self-sabotaging. There's a way out of low self-esteem. I'm living proof. I can't stop people from being miserable. I can't stop another kid from being molested. I can't stop somebody from being programmed with that psychotic church stuff. I can't stop people from what the hell they got to experience. It is what it is. We can't stop that. But what we can do as chosen ones, as light workers and healers, is heal our shit, fix our shit. And then become a beacon and by being transparent and talking about our stuff. I talk about my pain and my suffering. I become vulnerable and transparent with the world so you can see, man, that guy's gone through some shit. That guy's experienced some real shit. And look at him now. See, you wouldn't know that I went through all the pain and the suffering and the trauma and the drama that I did just by looking at me. If you used to meet me on the street, you would see, man, this dude's got something about this guy. He's so happy. He's got so much joy. He's not worried about anything. He just has such peace on him. It's like, man, this guy's always had it easy. That's how it appears. But we gotta grow the fuck up. And our legacy is, man, we grow through the shit that we've gone through. And then we become transparent and vulnerable with the rest of the world. I know that when I started this YouTube channel 3.5 years ago, I didn't do it for the rest of the world. I didn't. Truth be told, I didn't give a damn if anybody else saw it. And what I mean by that, I did these videos. I started making my videos for my kids and my grandkids so that they could understand, dang, that's what Dad had to go through. Dang, Dad's dropping some knowledge. Man, and so after I'm dead and gone, they could go back to the platform and listen to what Dad had to say. So they could see Dad in his element. That's why I started this platform. It wasn't for the rest of the world. It wasn't for all of you. It wasn't for chosen ones. It was for my kids and my grandkids. I didn't want to speak to the rest of the world. But God knew by having my kids and my grandkids, that's what He was going to take for me to start this platform. If God had told me to come on, start this platform just for the rest of the world, for humanity, I never would have started it. Because I didn't give a fuck. I wouldn't have started it at all. I started it for my kids and grandkids. And I only started it after Kobe Bryant died. And then Chadwick Boseman died, the guy that played the Black Panther. After that, it was like, man, these young men, they're dying. And I'm older than them. You got all these guys dying. They got all this money, all this fame, all this wealth. And they're dying. And this is their legacy. And so we're listening to all these people talk about their legacy. We're listening to all these people talk about Chadwick Boseman, man, filming Black Panther when he had cancer and he didn't tell anybody he had cancer. He was sick and dying and filming that movie. And that touched me. That inspired me. That fucked me up. Because at that moment, I got no fucking excuse. It's easy to come up with fucking excuses of why we ain't gonna do some shit. To become vulnerable, to get uncomfortable. See, we don't want to be uncomfortable. And that's why we won't grow the fuck up. And that's why we won't change our perspective. Because it's uncomfortable to understand that, damn, my perspective is kind of twisted. How I see life is wrong. That goes against what I know. That goes against my ego. That goes against my pride. We got to grow up. We got to grow up. What is going to be your legacy? I'm going back to Robin Williams. I didn't want to pass away. And I think about him a lot. I didn't want to pass away like that. Having helped so many people and then be depressed and suicidal. And the trip is, man, I've gone through things as an adult where I've been suicidal, where I've contemplated dying, where I've contemplated, man, I can't take this no more. I can't take the pain and the brokenness. I can't take this loss anymore. I can't keep taking these L's like this. When my wife, Cecilia, passed away in 2015, I went to China and I spread her ashes all over China. And I tried to die. I wanted to die. That was the love of my life. My best friend, my road dog. I was tired of losing the loved ones. And prior to Cecilia passing away, my brother had passed away from colon cancer the year before my wife was diagnosed with cancer. It wasn't even a year later. He died in August 2014, February 2015, we found out that she had stage 4 breast cancer. Terminal. I was done. I'm glad God didn't let me die back then. I'm glad that God didn't allow me to commit suicide back then. I sit back and think about, man, I just got out of a relationship on March 18th. Man, it's coming up on the year. March 18th last year. Broke my heart, fucked me up. Fucked me up. Went through a whole gamut of emotions and anger. And again, I was done. I was done trying to love and want to be loved back. I was done being betrayed, being dogged out. I was done sowing into the lives of others and still being hurt and lied on. I was done. But that wasn't my legacy. That was just a little tiny piece of what I've gone through. And so what God had to show me was, Elijah, you're going to always go through something. And it's not about what you go through. I just had dinner with my son last night, my oldest son. And I was telling him, I said, bro, it's not about what you go through. It's what you grow through. It's not so much what you go through, it's how you respond to what you go through. Let me say it again. It's not what you go through that matters. It's what you grow through and how you respond to what you go through. That's what becomes part of your legacy. See, don't get caught up on the fact that, man, I was strung out on dope and I was a town hoe and man, and I was out here slanging and banging and da-da-da-da, and I was always getting locked up and da-da-da-da. Man, okay, that's just a tiny portion of your story. That's just a tiny portion of your legacy, that you were able to go through all of that and you got out of that. And you were able to help other people that were stuck in that game, stuck in that lifestyle. Because everybody don't survive what you've gone through. Everybody don't make it out. Everybody don't heal from it. Everybody don't grow from it. Our legacy, that we've gone through it, we grew through it, and we use it as stories and as examples to the rest of humanity to help them go through it, to help them grow through it. I never realized that I would meet so many people through social media, because I didn't make these videos for social media, for the rest of the world. I made them for my 7 kids. I didn't realize that so many people would be able to relate to some of the things that I experienced. I know we as guys don't really talk about, man, yeah, I got molested as a kid. Because guys, for the most part, we don't really open up like this. We don't really have these heart-to-heart conversations. And so, we have to learn, once you heal, it no longer hurts you. If it's still got a little ting to it, it means you ain't completely healed from it yet. And that's okay. You're in the process of healing. There's a process to the healing, and it's not going to happen overnight. And we have to understand that. There's lessons that you have to grow through. There's lessons that you have to discover and understand. And so when we sit back and we really think about it, and after God finishes teaching us these lessons in these traumatic experiences, and now you're able to receive the blessing of wisdom, the blessing of insight, the blessing of understanding and compassion, of patience. Why? Because I understand what it means to go through. And so now I'm not so judgmental. I'm patient with others because, man, again, I'm 54 years old. I know what it's like to struggle with shit for years. And the first time I told somebody that I had been molested was my youngest kid's mom. I was 29 years old. The first time I told anyone about me being molested. And it happened when I was 6. I carried that for 23 years and never said anything. Carried it for 23 years and didn't do anything about it. And what I mean by didn't do, I never healed. I hadn't healed at that time. I just carried that baggage, that shame, that anger for 23 years. And never grew and hadn't grown through it up until that point. Healing comes in stages. In stages. There's a process to it. My mom died when I was 2 years old. I was in my 30s and 40s, and I would go to her gravesite, and I would look down at her little plaque. My mom was 20 years old, had just turned 20 when she passed away. 20 years old. And I would stand there in my 30s and 40s, and I would break down crying like a little baby. Falling to the ground, sobbing over the loss of my mama. That happened decades ago. Because I'd never dealt with it. I hadn't healed from it at that time. After I thought I healed from it, last year, when my wife did what she did, and I'm in the situation where I'm at, homeless, just dogged the fuck out, lost everything. And God had to show me, Elijah, you've healed so much. Elijah, you've grown so much. But there's some more. Elijah, we got to deal with this some more. I know you're healing people, not healing, but you're helping people deal with their abandonment issues. But Elijah, you got a little bit more in you. Elijah, there's still some more areas we need to deal with about your mama being gone. And so when you look at your wife and you're angry with your wife who's just dogged you the fuck out, when you really get to the root cause of it, when you really get down to the nuts and bolts of this, Elijah, your real pain is not so much in what your wife did. Yes, she fucked you over, but the real cause of your pain and your trauma and why you're really affected by this is because she just triggered your childhood. She just triggered your mama dying and leaving you in the world all by yourself. And now you're homeless in New York City all by your motherfucking self. And you feel abandoned again. You feel thrown away again. And so your pain towards your wife ain't supposed to be directed at her. The pain is going deep all the way back down to your mama. And you're going to keep going through stuff like this, Elijah, until you acknowledge that, until you deal with that, until you face that, until you heal that. Elijah, this is why all the women in your life has abandoned you, have rejected you, have left you, because your mama died and you felt abandoned and rejected. This is about to get deep. We're talking about our legacy. What is your legacy going to be? And what God had to show me, Elijah, your relationships has failed because you never healed that shit with your mama. You had some more stuff down there that you hadn't let go of. You got some more diving deep to do. You got some more healing to do in this area. And see, the great majority of us, we don't want to deal with that shit. We don't want to have to face our pain and our traumas. If you don't face your pain and trauma, you'll never leave the legacy that you want to leave. If you don't face your pain and your trauma, you'll never be the beacon of hope that you're capable of being. You might bring some hope. You might bring some light into this world, but it won't be as bright as it's capable of being. You won't have the impact that you're capable of having. And so when you look at your legacy is how many lives am I going to positively impact? And not just the lives that I reached out and touched, but it's a domino effect. See, if I touch this person's life and help them grow and help them heal and show them a better way, now all the lives that they reach is connected to me. It's a result of the work that I put into this person, the investment that I put into this person. So I don't even have to know that that other person exists. I only have to know that that other person gone through. I just got to know that this person, Betty Jean, was suicidal, and Betty Jean tried to kill herself, and Betty Jean was drunk out on dope, and Betty Jean had issues with her sexuality and her image and And I help Betty Jean understand who the fuck she is. And I help Betty Jean understand the power and the authority that she has. And I help Betty Jean learn to love and accept herself and value herself and establish healthy boundaries. And what do I help Betty Jean come into this awakening, this awareness of who she is? And now because Betty Jean is coming to this awareness and she understands her power and her authority, she's now able to touch all these other lives. But Betty Jean wouldn't have been able to do that if it hadn't been for me. And so all these other lives have been positively impacted because of the work that I did. And that's how you establish your legacy. You don't have to know everybody exists. You don't directly have to spit or speak into other people's lives. You just got to speak. I can't even talk right now. You just have to touch the lives that God has put into your area. The lives that God has told you to touch. This is how we heal the world. This is how we change the world. This is how we have a positive and a great impact on all of humanity. When you look at what Jesus did, and this is what God had to show me. When you look at Jesus and Joshua, you look at Buddha, you look what all these great teachers did. Jesus had 12 disciples. 12. Look at how far Christianity has been spread from those 12. Buddha had, I want to say it was 3,000 disciples or something, like 300 or 3,000 disciples, something to that effect. Look at how far Buddhism has spread. Look at how many lives Buddhism has touched. You don't have to agree with Buddhism. You don't have to agree with Christianity. But look at the lives that's been impacted because these people existed. Because of the 12. Because Buddha's original disciples. Buddha had no idea that Buddhism would be spread all over the world. Buddha had no idea that all of these lives would be impacted by his teachings. There's been people, I've worked in the prison systems in California. There's been people that have been strung out on dope, in and out of prison, grew up in a Christian household, couldn't relate to Christianity at all. Got in prison and they did the violence and the rioting and all the other crazy shit that they do in prison, especially in California. But somewhere they picked up this Buddhist book and it resonated with their spirit. And it changed their lives. And they began meditating. And they stopped doing all the stupid stuff that they were doing, the violence. And it changed their lives. And they became a disciple of these teachings. And now they're out and they're talking to young kids. They're going in and out of juvenile halls and places like that. They're speaking to young kids at risk of getting caught up in the system. And they're telling them and showing them, man, I was there. I've done 25 years in the pen. I've done in the feds. I've done I've done and now I'm trying to help you so that you don't make those same mistakes. Use my life as an example. Use me as an example. This is what you got to look forward to if you keep messing up, if you keep making these same mistakes, if you keep doing what you do. This is what you got to look forward to. A life of prison. A life of doing hard time. What is your legacy going to be? One of the things when I worked in the prison system, I would have these guys write their autobiography, 4 or 5 pages, and I would read all of them. I wanted to understand, and I wanted them to sit there and comprehend and understand, man, this is what got me caught up. So they had to write down, what was it about their life? Whatever it is that they wanted to share and why they ended up in prison. But I wanted the background. I wanted the dynamics of what led to the decisions and the choices that they made that put them on that path. Before they graduated and moved out of my area, they had to write a bibliography. They had to write an obituary. And the obituary was, you got 20 years left of your life. You're getting paroled, you got 20 years to live. What do you want people to remember you by? What do you want to accomplish in your life? What do you have 20 years left. What are you going to do with your time? When you die, what are your kids going to say about you? When you die, what are your parents going to say about you? When you die, what are all these people going to say about you? Are you going to have reached the lives of those that you were supposed to? Are you going to have made a huge difference in humanity like you were supposed to? Or are they going to sit back and say, man, this person was a lifelong criminal. They couldn't get their life right. They just kept going back and forth to prison. They never grew up. They never learned the lesson. They never got off of drugs. They never stopped stealing. They never stopped violating people, raping people, molesting people. Whatever it is that they were doing, they never grew up. Is that what you want your family to say about you? Is that what you want your kids to say about you? Is that what you want humanity to say about you? Man, I'm glad he's gone. He was a fucking waste. He was fucking useless. Humanity's better off now that his fucking ass is gone. And for some of us, the truth be told, humanity's not even really know that you lived. Humanity's not even really gonna understand or know that you existed. I mean, you really ain't did shit with your life. You ain't really stepped out on a limb and tried to do anything. And it is what it is. It is what it is. You have a choice. Every one of us has a choice. What is your legacy gonna be? And the other reason why I wanted those guys to tell me what they wanted their legacy to be, because I wanted them to have something that I could show them when they got off track, when they start messing up. It's like, hold up, time out. You said you wanted to do. Is this right here, the choices you're making right here, right now, is that helping you accomplish your legacy? The choices you're currently making right now, is that helping you in fulfilling your purpose so that you can leave behind the legacy that you want? If what you're doing right here, right now is not helping you in that way, then you need to let this shit go. The belief system that you have right now, is that helping you in the path of, man, you fulfilling your purpose and you being able to leave behind the legacy you want? If your belief system right here, right now ain't going to get you there, then you got to let that belief system go. You got to change it. It is what it is. What is your legacy going to be? Man, family, if you want something different in life from what you're accustomed to, then you got to do something different. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. They say that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting different results. Having the same fucked up belief system and expecting different things to happen. You believe the same shit that you believe that got you in this fucking place, in this predicament in the first place. We gotta grow up. We have to grow up. If you want better, you gotta do better. If you want different, then you gotta do different. It is what it is. Man, hope and pray that I said something to encourage you, to inspire you, to challenge your way of thinking. We have to grow up. We have to grow up. If you're interested in a coaching session, man, shoot me an email at ElijahAmmi@gmail.com. Man, I love you guys. Thank you for rocking out with me. Namaste. The God in me sees recognizes and acknowledges the God in you. Happy healing. Peace.